It is 7:07 on the Morning Majority, a TGIF edition of the Morning Majority.
No, not a TGIF Friday. It would be redundant.
That's right,
yeah.
I know.
All right.
Listen, I'm having one of those mornings. Hey, listen, there's a lot going on in politics right now. If you're following, the ins and outs and the sort of the inside baseball stuff that has to do with the 2012 election cycle, there's a lot of news to talk about. I mean, there was the Newtony yesterday where Newt Gingrich's staff walked away en masse, and many people think they're moving very quickly over to the campaign of one Rick Perry, which should make for a very interesting GOP race. And then there are some numbers out that suggest that there is some heavy lifting to do on the part of President Obama if he wants to replicate what he did in the last election cycle. And it's going to be very, very tough that a lot of the states that went blue last time are now trending back toward the red. And when you want to decipher all of this stuff, when you want to get straight from the shoulder information about what's really going on and what the American people think about all this, there's one guy I like to turn to. He's Doug Schoen. He's a Democratic pollster, but he's always gives it to you straight. Always tells you how the cow, as they say, ate the proverbial cabbage. Joining us now on the phone, Doug Schoen. Hello, Doug.
Hey, Brian, thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Doug, listen, as we look at the electoral map, we notice also that the president is spending a lot of time in North Carolina and Virginia these days. There's a story out there that says heavy lifting in those states for him where he had some success the first time around. As you look at the electoral map and the sort of where the American people are right now, how difficult a task is it for this president to get reelected?
Well, I think it's a lot tougher. I mean, obviously the job numbers from last week make it tougher still. But even before that, the president did very well in states like North Carolina, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana. They've written off Indiana. The other 4 or 5 states are in play. But the kind of moderate, conservative independents who didn't like George Bush and voted for Obama because of the promise of hope, change, and not a red-blue America, but a United States of America, they've left him en masse, Brian, and it's an open question, very much an open question, whether they come back.
Well, that's important because we all know that elections are often decided in the middle.
They are often decided in the middle, and Obama ran as a centrist, governed much more arguably in a partisan fashion, and very tough to reconstruct that electoral coalition without getting the middle, Brian.
Okay. You have a really interesting column in the Washington Examiner called The Hidden Issue in American Politics. And to me, it doesn't feel hidden because it's what I complain about all the time. You're talking about how folks are really concerned about liberties being threatened, about personal freedom being threatened, and that the Obama administration kind of doesn't grasp that and could pay the price for it.
Yeah, it's one thing to be a Democrat and to believe in somewhat more government, or a Republican and believe in somewhat less government. But all Americans believe in freedom, liberty, and the right to have a chance to fulfill your potential. And what I see in America is a society for a variety of reasons, much of which due to an administration that's insensitive, that has in fact retarded personal liberty, the chance to get ahead, and has left people feeling that somehow society isn't fair, that it's not the America they grew up with or knew as children.
And what are some of the examples that you think are really problematic? I think you mentioned some labor issues.
Sure, when you have the NLRB telling Boeing where to locate, how to run its business, that's pretty problematic. When you have a health care plan that appears to tell people what they have to do, how they have to do it, when they have to do it, again, problematic. And the American people, I think, also more generally, look at the American dream, and what they say, Mary Catherine, is it's just plain dead. And that's very, very scary. That really is a central core element of our society, and it doesn't work the way it used to.
Yeah, or even on a small level, we were just talking about the light bulb controversy, the fact that Americans will be able to buy light bulbs that they want in the store. I mean, that's almost a liberty issue.
Yeah, I think there are lots of them, and while I happen to support a lot of the legislation that's been done on smoking and on nutritional information, if you take it all together, you wonder what's happened to sort of basic freedoms to eat what you want, do what you want, and live the life you want to live.
All right, let's talk about Anthony Weiner's freedom to be a congressman. Big debate we have here going whether or not he's going to resign. I still think he's going to he'll be forced out by the end of the week, although the reports are that he's digging in, and a new poll shows that almost, 56% of his constituents don't seem to really care. They think he can stay. So can Anthony Weiner stay on as the United States congressman?
I think in the short term he can stay. The problem is he's going to be isolated and ostracized, a process that's already begun. But that being said, his district is likely to be cut up in reapportionment should he stay. So I think his career will be over in either the very short term or more likely within the next year and a half.
I was looking at that article that you wrote, and you make the case that neither the Democrats nor the Republicans have come up with a message that resonates with the American people. And you say that both parties remain out of favor and continue to garner negative ratings in public opinion polls. And Democrats have offered an answer that, if you look at the 2010 midterm elections, it makes clear that what they're offering is antithetical to what the electorate is seeking. Why is it that politicians are having a hard time getting a message that resonates with the voters?
Brian, in a word, it's ideology. The problem is the Obama campaign in 2008 really struck a responsive chord. Lots of people I know, I suspect you as well, sort of said, even if I don't agree with the man he is and his record, I see somebody who understands my frustration. But he's governed in a way, Brian, that is, again, at variance with those principles, leaving a lot of Democrats and a lot of independents as well, some Republicans saying, this isn't the man I elected, this isn't the approach I wanted. And when they've seen the, almost $800 billion stimulus program that's more patronage than it is job creation, leaving us at a point where we're all at risk, they say, this just doesn't work. I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy. I'm just frustrated.
I got 1,000 questions for you right now, but I want to get very quickly to weigh in on the possibility of a Rick Perry candidacy. Sure. How does that change the game? How is he in Texas? Is he in pretty good shape there?
He's in reasonable shape in Texas, but and the economy there is better than most places. But Perry has some negatives. But bottom line, the field itself is so weak, and the Republican electorate so eager to get new faces in that I suspect, Brian, that one of the reasons that Newt's staff resigned en masse was so that they could get on the next plane to Austin.
And do we think that Gingrich is done? I mean, does he have? He's over, right?
I think Newt's done. I mean, between the Greek cruise, the line of credit at Tiffany's, and the truth-telling on the Ryan plan, I don't think Newt's going to make it.
All right. Doug, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
It's always good to hear from